Okay friends, one of the first things we have to do to get started on our steering shaft is to come out here to our negative battery terminal. That's the one with the little negative sign here. Go ahead and disconnect that and set it aside so it's making no contact with the battery. After that, we'll go ahead and get inside the passenger compartment. Now the next thing we're going to do is just go ahead and pull out all the slack on our seatbelt here. I'm going to go ahead and take it, go through the steering wheel right there, and then we'll bring it in and strap it down. Now we just want to pay attention to the steering wheel itself. We want to ensure that the wheel is going in a straight direction. So essentially it's not turned either to the left or to the right. It's as straight as possible. That's going to ensure that the wheels themselves are heading straight as well. After that, we're going to wait approximately 5 minutes just so the battery can completely discharge inside the electrical system here. And then we can continue on to removing our steering shaft underneath the column here. After you've waited the allotted amount of time, let's go ahead and carefully pull back on this carpet here. We want to be careful not to damage it. And then we're going to remove both of these white nuts right here and then remove this plastic piece. Just go ahead and turn these counterclockwise, or you can just gently pry them off. Typically they'll just slide off. There's the other one. Go ahead and grab onto this. We're going to lift it straight up and off those studs. And then on the back side of it, you're going to see a little slit, so you can just gently slide this away and set it aside. Now at this point, we have a nice clear view of our entire steering shaft right here. We're going to go ahead and remove this lower 12mm headed bolt right there. After we remove the bolt, we're just going to carefully separate these ears a little bit, and then we can slide this steering shaft off of the power steering rack. Grab onto that bolt, inspect it, set it aside. Now let's continue with a small pry bar like this right here and a nice small hammer. And I'm just going to try to get in between the two ears that hold this together onto the shaft itself. So let's just go ahead and give this a couple loving bonks. We're not trying to break anything here. We're just trying to essentially separate it, and then we can give this a little wiggle and slide it up and off of the power steering rack. We can remove our tool. Now that that's off, let's continue following it up to where it connects onto the steering column itself. That's right up here. We're going to have to go ahead and just carefully turn our steering wheel very slowly here. You want to ensure that it can't spin completely around and break that clock spring. And then we'll remove this bolt right here and slide the complete shaft right out. Let's just carefully continue spinning this here. There we are. Now I can access this bolt. Fully remove that bolt. Now let's just carefully grab onto that shaft. We're going to pull it down and off of the steering column here. If it doesn't want to slide off, just do the procedure that you did before on the lower one. I'm just going to stick my pry bar in here carefully. Once again, a couple loving bonks. We're essentially just trying to spread those ears and slide it right out of here. There it is, friends. Now on this original shaft, you're going to notice you have this plastic piece here. I always just go ahead and pop them right off of there. We can set our old shaft aside. We're going to transfer this right over to the new shaft. Slides right on there. You'll notice this can telescope in and out, so that's good. And now we can continue on by putting this part of the shaft up and onto the steering column up along the top there. And now when we do this, something to pay attention to is the shaft right up along this area, the coupler. You can tell the side that the bolt has to go through. It has kind of like a cutout there, and on the other side it has the threaded edge. So we of course had it so the bolt was aiming straight like this. We're going to go ahead and put in the shaft so the bolt's going through the same direction. Okay. Sometimes a couple light bonks will help this. All right, now that I feel as though it's situated where my hole's lined up with the slot on the steering column itself, we're going to continue on with the two bolts here. Now typically you'd want to replace these, but if you're not replacing them, it's a great idea to just use a little bit of blue thread locker on this. Do not use red thread locker. It's going to cause an issue if you ever have to replace this steering shaft again or do any type of work down here. Blue's the way to go. Now that I have both of these thread locked. I'm going to go ahead and take the top one. We'll start it in there, snug it up, and torque it to 26 foot-pounds. Now at this point, we're just going to continue on by straightening out our steering wheel. If you find that your steering wheel had locked, you can just go ahead and take your key and put it in the on position. We'll turn it to where it needs to be so it's as straight as what it was before when we originally started. If you inserted the key, go ahead and remove that now. Make sure that this is as straight as possible, and we'll continue on by installing the lower part of that shaft. Let's go ahead and take this one, slide it right down on there. Couple light bonks. Go ahead and take that lower bolt with the thread locker, of course. Started in there a few good threads. You want to make sure that you don't cross thread this in. Snug it up. Torque this to 26 foot-pounds as well. Now we can get this on there. We've got our little split. Just gonna take it, slide it right over the shaft there. Now this needs to go underneath the carpet, so just carefully pull back the carpet. Like I said, we want to be careful not to damage it or wrinkle it or anything like that. You don't want to get it caught on your pedals as you're driving. Let's see if I can get this out of the way. Slide it under there. We're gonna line up our studs with the corresponding holes on this protector here. Slide that right in. Got our two plastic nuts. Generally with these, you can just take them, press them right on there. Easy peasy. We'll do this one. Make sure that's secure. Grab that carpet. Make sure it's up here and nice and secure as well. You don't want it flapping around. It definitely can't be caught underneath any of your pedals because it could potentially cause an issue or a safety concern. Get our belt off of here. That feels pretty great. Let's reconnect our negative battery terminal. We're going to make sure that we snug this up. It needs to be 100% secure. You don't want it coming loose while you're driving. There we are. All that's left to do now is take your vehicle for a road test. You want to make sure that the steering wheel is nice and straight. It's overall a great idea to make sure that you get yourself a four-wheel alignment. Thanks.